Willkommen, bienvenue, welcome. My name is Carola and I moved to Paris in 2017. I'm here with fellow YouTubers who also all moved to Paris, and we'll be talking about comparison to our hometowns and Paris, and also advice about moving to Paris.
Okay, so hi everyone, my name is Gaby and I'm from the channel Gaby in Paris and I'm from Sweden.
Yes, hello, this is Hannah and
my name is Emma.
and our YouTube channel is Our Life in Paris. I'm from the United States and Emma is from
Canada.
Or maybe a first good question is to ask what's the differences from where you moved from home? Who wants to start? Okay.
I'll start.
No, the difference.
The whole difference? Like,
no,
like everything?
Or
List
no,
all of the differences.
Yes.
we have 4 hours.
So the biggest difference for me in terms of moving from Canada to France, and one of the reasons I actually decided to stay here, because we've been here since 2013, was actually mainly the lifestyle, which I think is very similar to like the European lifestyle overall, and vacation. In Canada, you only get I think you start with 2 weeks vacation per year if you work full time. And here in France, you start at 5, kind of 6. So that was a huge selling point for me. And it also makes your life not about that one vacation you take a year. Travel's kind of worked into the lifestyle.
Sure. Emma and I have already done a video on the big differences between US culture or American culture and France, which we'll link down below. But in terms of like a huge difference between US culture and French culture, for me, it's the terrace culture. For me, that's huge. In France, it's totally normal to go and just sit on a terrace, whether it's for 1 coffee, 10 coffees, a huge meal, or just a croissant, whatever it is. It's totally normal to go and spend time outside on a terrace in France. We have obviously restaurants and bars in the US where you can be outside, but it's not the same vibe, it's not the same kind of culture of just like congregating on a terrace.
Moving from Germany to France isn't actually that different, so there are a lot of things that are still pretty similar, but that gives the illusion that kind of everything is the same, and then when you stumble over little differences, you're much more surprised. I really love the work culture here, and I think if I ever... yeah.
Yeah, but
Work culture.
Yeah, exactly. It's much more friendly, and it's much more like the people you're working with acting as friends. And in Germany, you would not dare to call a co-worker after 5 p.m. after they left the office, unless it's really an urgent work thing. And here, it's more fluid.
That's so funny that you say that though.
Yeah.
Because I feel like France is like the opposite, because in the US and Canada, you can call up your colleagues.
There are no barriers.
There's no barriers. You can call your... Here, it's like you might make that connection, but so I can't imagine how it is in Germany.
Because in the United States, I feel like, there's really no boundaries between like...
Okay.
Yeah.
So, example for Germany is I wanted to go to the Christmas market, and we had a small team, 11 people, so I suggested that, and yeah, at lunchtime everybody said, yeah, why not? And I put in 4 dates, and actually nobody ever clicked on yes for any of them, because nobody wanted to hang out with their co-workers after work.
wow. Yeah.
Okay.
Whoa.
I also feel like in France it's very like separated everything, like the workers, like your working life, your private person,
For sure.
like, you know.
Okay.
But obviously it depends on what you're comparing to. It really depends.
Totally.
So yeah.
Actually, I feel like making French friends and making German friends is about as difficult, because both cultures are not someone where you have an unlimited number of friends. You have about 4 to 5 friends, and if those plots are filled, then you just don't need any more. The French friends I made are people who have been abroad and who have that mindset of, they don't want to have just French friends, but they were actively looking in expat groups. Then I have made friends in my building, which only happened because of lockdown, because suddenly there were limits on where to find people, and you were basically locked to your apartment. So I made a really good friend with a neighbor, and then I made a few really great friends at work.
I would say that's pretty true to us. I mean, and Gaby as well. The three of us, we went to school here. So I think I was able to make a few French friends at school. But it's true, I can attest that there's this like small group of friends mentality. However, I find that in France, there's like, it's divided into two. You have your childhood best friends. That list never moves. Like that doesn't change. And then you have the friends that kind of come in and out of your different stages of your life. And I'd say the best way that I found to make friends, though, is finding common interests. Because I made friends when I was doing CrossFit, for example, and I've been friends with those ladies for like, I guess 6-7 years now. And even though we don't do CrossFit anymore together, we still hang out, we still do different things.
I definitely agree with Emma. They do have that small group mentality in terms of the friends, whereas in the United States, we have like tons and tons and tons of people that we're friends with. We have huge groups, and then at the end of the day, like the people that we're actually really close with, it's not like, it's a fraction, I guess, of all the people that we wind up hanging out with and calling. But yeah, I came from that mentality in the US where it's better to have 200 people at a party than 5, than 5 people that you really care about. So that's a different mentality here, but I appreciate it. We've made friends as well, like Emma says, through sports, but also I've been lucky enough to make friends at work, like you, Carola, which is great as well.
But I don't know, it's gonna be the same as before, but I think, this like mentality of you're having your childhood friends, like we have exactly the same thing in Sweden, so for me it wasn't really a shock. I know, like I think of the two cultures as maybe very like long-term oriented in terms of like friendships, so I know that I really need to spend time with people, so it's definitely to meet French friends, it's been through work, like for activities and stuff like this. But I'd say that people would experience exactly the same thing if they would be moving to Sweden as they would here. So I didn't I
have a question for you though. You have a French boyfriend.
Yeah.
How has that impacted your ability to make French friends?
Of course, it has opened me up to meeting more people who are French, but they're still his friends, and there are his childhood friends as well, or his friends from university and like in these type of groups.
Would the girlfriends of his friends invite you to do something without the boyfriends present?
Yeah, but the thing is that most of his friends actually don't live in Paris, they live in Dijon, and I'm sure they probably would, but just we live in another...
It's just so far.
We live so far, but But I mean, I definitely also have this, like, if we could call it like a French mentality, that I have my childhood friends. I have a few friends that came during the way, of course, you can say that you know a lot of people, but I wouldn't necessarily call them friends, because I think the definition of friends is maybe different here than in other countries.
Yeah. In Germany, we definitely have the difference between close friends, more of acquaintances than friends you have only for a certain topic. So I have a lot of knitting friends.
I think all of us can agree common interest is kind of the way to go.
Yeah. I think this leads us to maybe our next question. So no, I was thinking about, because you talked about it a little bit, but meeting expat friends, how has it been for you?
Oh, very easy. So I have 2 main Facebook groups. One of them is the Social Women in Paris, which is for people over 30, and then the expatriates in Paris, and I think
women in Paris. There's one women.
Women living in Paris, and I met a lot of people through that. So basically, someone would ask, "Hey, I want to go on a photo shoot, and we can take pictures of each other. Who wants to join?" And then you meet other people. Yeah. And expats, they're very open to meeting people, because especially if they're new and they don't have the circle yet.
In terms of making expat friends, I have used apps and joined Facebook groups, and that's way easier than making French friends. Oh my gosh, because there's a billion of us here, a billion of expats. Yeah.
I feel like I'm going back into my German mentality now, because now I have my circle of friends. So when I was invited to a WhatsApp group with 30 more people, and we can all get to know each other. And I felt like, I don't want to get to know you. I don't have time for that.
I've made a lot of expat friends along the way. It tends to be people that have really decided that like they're setting up roots in Paris. Like I think that after being here 8 years, you kind of know who's here to stay and who's not here to stay. And I'd have to say though, I've had expat friends that I've been close with, and then like we kind of lost touch. And I feel like the expats, the minute you lose touch, you really completely kind of lose touch with them. Yeah. Whereas
the French friends you can call after 5 years.
100%. That's exactly it. Is like I have friends that like I haven't spoken to in months, and out of the blue I'll get a text, "How's it going?" or thing, and I feel like they're almost easier to reconnect with. My French friends.
That also goes back to kind of what I've been saying, not to hate on Americans. I'm very proud of where I come from in my country. But I do think that there is just such a difference between building authentic relationships here versus like our tendency to create more superficial relationships in the United States. We're more comfortable with that, having a long list of friends that we can call once in a blue moon for like a random coffee date. Whereas here, like the relationships just seem to be a bit more authentic, even with the expats that we have met that want to put down roots here. But it's true, we kind of decided to stop making friends with expats all the time because they come and they go. And it's crappy to build relationships that 2 years later, you know, their mission is up for work, or they've decided to go back to their country for whatever reason. When we make expat friends, we're really looking for people who are still wanting to put down roots here. So that's important. But yeah, I had a lot of success with Bumble. Bumble friends, okay? Bumble friends. I've met
Thanks for clarifying.
Yes. Some really great people on that app, which is nice as well. So, okay, so that is a perfect lead into where we hang out with these amazing friends we have made. So actually, 2 places. I think it's kind of like a 2-part question. If I want to feel super Parisian and I'm like, oh yeah, let me show off the fact that like we live in this amazing city. I really like to picnic near Pont Marie, which is nice. The Marie Bridge, is that how you'd say it in English? But I've actually been really digging since we moved to the 20th, Bois de Vincennes, which is such a beautiful forest in the middle of all this craziness. I mean, it's in Vincennes technically, but you can bike to it from the 20th. And it's a beautiful place to hang out. I love going there for not only picnicking, but working out.
I guess we might hang out at the same places because I also love being at the Seine, but also really close to the Seine, like under the bridges and really where you can see the water. I usually start at Invalides, where the area is, or that area. I love Ile de la Cité, and now most of the cafes are closed, but they all have these, they're selling from the door, so you can still grab your coffee and then find a nice place. You can't have alcohol anymore, but I never really did like that, so that's fine. And other than that, I have a lot of friends that I do videos with, so we usually
that all the time.
Exactly, so usually I plan videos and then we'll film either. So Gaby and I, we have done locations of Lupin recently, and so basically we're moving around with the camera. And because right now with the curfew at 7 p.m, it is really that I'm filming all weekend. I also used to love going to Chateau de Versailles, and I had like a duo card, so I could bring a friend, and
wow, fancy.
Yeah, so I have been there over 20 times because every time I met someone, hey, do you want to go to Versailles? And then we'll do the tour.
Oh my gosh. But you're very into history and things like this, so you know it makes sense that you want to go.
My next question for you, Gaby, if you want to continue, is when you have people visiting, where do you take them? Like, let's say, like the top places that you would take a visitor.
Yeah. Good question. No, but I think before I had because we lived in the 18th before for 2 years, so we always definitely did like Montmartre, like walked up there. Then you had a walk down, you had a coffee in the 9th, and you saw the Eiffel Tower later, second, as well.
Well, I do like a classic walk with people. I start at Sacré-Cœur, and then walk down by Opera, through Tuileries, Louvre, and then either, depending on the timing, it's either hit up the islands, like Île de la Cité and Île Saint-Louis, or I do the Marais.
So translation, if you're coming to visit Emma, bring tennis shoes.
So I guess that I'll ask you, Hannah. That leads us into the next kind of like topic, which I guess is where would you want to live? And what do you think the people should budget for that?
I think already I'm obsessed with the area that we live in. We've been super lucky to live in the 11th before, which was fantastic, but super expensive. And now in the 20th, which we love and is less expensive. The thing is, though, when I say less expensive, it's for Paris. It's just a big city, and I think it's not that expensive what we pay, but then I speak to my friends that live in the banlieue, in the neighborhoods, like the suburbs, thank you, surrounding Paris, and I tell them what I pay, and they're like, my God, like, you know, if I didn't live in Paris with that money, I could buy like a 4-story, 6-bedroom home, and you're like, really? But in any case, I would still recommend, like, I wouldn't change where we live at all. I love living in the 20th. I would say anywhere that you can bike to the Marais, you're going to be in a great location. Anywhere that you can spend, we can be in the Marais in 10 minutes on our bike. 5 minutes if you're biking fast like Emma. 10 minutes at my bike speed. I would say any area surrounding the Marais, you can absolutely, is a great place to live, but not in the Marais, unless you can afford it, in which case, do you? I'm jealous.
I lived, I think it's 5 places now. So, I mean, I came first when I was 19, but then I was an au pair and I lived in Versailles, so that's maybe it doesn't count. And then in the 13th, I remember I lived in with another girl. We had kind of a shared room thing, and we paid, I think, 1,200 together. So I think that was.
You shared the room or just the apartment?
We shared the apartment.
Okay.
So, but we did I took the living room and she took the bedroom, so that was okay. But I think that was a very good deal. We were super happy with that. And and then I think I lived also in the 9th, so that would be central in these typical 13 square meters. I did have the toilet inside of my apartment, if you can call it that, and then I paid 650 for that one. I have also lived in 10 square meters with a friend, without a door to the toilet and without honestly, but we're like, yes, we're still friends. But oh my God, this was also when I was younger, and we paid, I think, was it 750 in total for that one, but that was also quite of a good.
How long did you live in that
We lived there. We moved in September and we moved out in January.
So the supermarkets in the 9th are pretty expensive. We have Franprix, Carrefour and Monoprix, and none of them is cheap. But what I do is going to the banlieue with the bus and then getting my groceries in one of the largest supermarkets and then just getting it back. For example, in Levallois there's the L'Eclair, which is a bit more affordable, and it has a direct bus.
Oh, it's actually good, that one. I've been to that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would say there's so many things actually that are quite affordable here. You wouldn't think so. When I talk to friends who live in New York City, I just feel like Paris is actually quite affordable in a lot of ways. But rent is always going to be your most expensive thing.
Yeah.
I mean, always. It really.
It's never gonna change.
Oh my gosh. It's going to be the craziest chunk that you pay for. Other than that, shopping at markets has been super helpful for us. We've got tons of markets around us. We can find anything from fresh fruit to, fresh meat. I mean, really anything. It's been super affordable that way. Phone bills are much cheaper here in this country than in the United States.
Yeah.
You pay $100 a month for your phone in the US. Here we pay $20 a month, 20 euros. I mean, it's really, that's much cheaper.
I would say, just to finish off, because
Please.
we do live together. No, but I'd say in terms of Paris, the biggest thing that is expected, it's a big city. So it's like any capital city, it's going to be expensive. For my experience, I think it's cheaper than London and New York, just because you do get the cheap markets that I don't think you get necessarily everywhere else.
The best way of having a good Paris experience is if you expect it to be complicated and if you expect it to be an adventure and not everything going smoothly, because you won't have the apartment right next to the Eiffel Tower with a beautiful view, and you you won't have the easy time making all of the French friends, but if you treat it as like a one step at a time adventure where you're moving up the ladder or moving up the levels, then it can be fun, and just, don't expect it to be like in a movie.
Remember that it's not just a touristic town. Like that you have to speak French sometimes to get by. Like you can't, if you really want to make the most of any time here, whether you're here for a trip or you're here for like to maybe try to create your life here, learn French as fast as you can.
Yes,
And it's the best gateway into the culture.
So, thank you for Emma and Hanna and Gaby for being in my video, and I hope you all found this very helpful, and if you did, then please give it a thumbs up and comment down below and jump over to the other channels. They are linked down in the description below, and see you next time. Bye!
Down on every Paris street, always something new to meet. Paris stands for all to see, with her ancient history.
Now let's cut to what it's like living with French people.